Okay, sorry. I think I did the first one with you, hey? What was the first one again? What was the answer there? Y equals x plus 2. Okay, yeah, sorry, I don't know where that page is. I was filling them all in. Can't find that page now. All right, so I did the first one with you. I think we still use those 2 points. We used the point 0, 2 and negative 2, 0, and we found the gradient. And then C, the y-intercept is 2. Okay, let's look at the next one, B. Did you guys notice that this one actually goes through the origin? Right? So we can use that point 0, 0. And obviously, if you use different points, that's fine. Don't worry about that. Then I'll use the point 1, 1. Okay, there we have that point 1, 1. But again, guys, you could have used different points. There's nothing wrong with that. So then you'll say y value of the first one minus y value of the second one over x value of the first one minus x value of the second one. So the gradient is 1, right? Did you get that for that one? Regardless of which 2 points you chose, your gradient has to be 1. And your C value, what is the y-intercept here? 0. Okay, so this one is y equals 1x or just x. Okay, and then you obviously won't write that plus 0 as well. You'll just say y equals x. Okay, next one, C, is this line over here. All right, I'm going to use that one there, which is 0, negative 2. And then I'll choose another point. Let's see, let me use 3, 0. Again, it's fine if you have different points, but your gradient must be the same. So M is going to be equal to y value of this point, so negative 2 minus y value of that one, 0, over x value of this point, which is 0, minus x value of that one, which is 3. So that's going to give us negative 2 over negative 3, which is actually just positive 2 over 3. Hey, what's a negative divided by a negative? A positive. Okay, so your M value has to be 2 over 3, guys. Even if you chose 2 different points, you have to get to 2 over 3. And what is my C value? What is the y-intercept of this line? Negative 2. Do we notice that? That is where the line goes through the y-axis at negative 2. So C is equal to negative 2. So the equation here is y equals 2 over 3x minus 2. And guys, another thing, you have to write that y equals. Okay, it's not something that you can just leave out. You have to say y equals your gradient and an x and then your C value. Any questions on that one? Right, let's look at D. D is this line over here. Guys, do we notice that D is a decreasing line, right? So what do we know about the gradient immediately if we just look at this line? The gradient will have to be if it's decreasing, the gradient is a negative number. Okay, so we do know that. We'll still calculate it, but it has to be negative. Okay, so on D, I'm going to use that point, negative 2, 0. And we'll use that one, which is 0, negative 1. Again, you could choose any 2 points. So you take y value of that one minus y value of this one. Guys, please remember it's important. If your second value is a negative, you have to put brackets around it. Okay, that's very important. Over x value of the first one, which is negative 2, minus x value of the second one, which is 0. Now this becomes plus 1. Negative times a negative is a positive, so 0 plus 1 is 1, and this is negative 2. So this gradient is negative 1/2. Okay, just check that you got that. And like we said already, because it's a decreasing line, we know that it has to be negative. Okay, so if you got a positive answer for that gradient there, you need to be able to look at your line and see, okay, it's actually decreasing, the gradient has to be negative. All right. What is my C value? What is the y-intercept of this line? Where does it go through the y-axis? Can we see it's at -1, hey? So C is -1. So y is -1/2 x minus 1. Okay, any questions on that one, guys? All right, let's look at E. E is this line over here. Again, a decreasing line, so the gradient has to be negative. I'm going to look for 2 points. Let's take that one. That one is -3, -2. And then I'll use this one, which is 0, -3. Okay, -3, -2. And 0, -3. So to find the gradient, I have to say y value of the first point minus y value of the second point over x value of the first point minus x value of the second point. Now this is going to become a +3. What's -2 plus 3? 1. And this is going to be -3. So this is -1/3. But guys, remember, once you've written this down, you can type it into the calculator. That's fine. And it will just give you that answer straight away. Okay, our C value for E, where does it go through the y-axis? At -3, right? That's -2, that's -4. So directly in between them, halfway, should be -3. So C is -3. So this equation is y equals -1/3 x minus 3. Okay, that's the answer to E. All right, I'm going to go a bit faster through the rest. For F, I'll choose 0, 0, and then what about that one? 3, 4. 0, 0, and 3, 4. The gradient is y value of the first one minus y value of the second one over x value of the first one minus x value of the second one. So this is going to be -4 over -3, which is a positive number, hey? So just 4 over 3. And guys, you can leave it like that. You don't have to write it as a mixed number. You don't have to write it as a decimal. 4 over 3 is perfect. Okay, just leave it like that. The C value, if we look for our actual y-intercept of line F, do we see that it goes through the origin? All right, so the C value is 0. The y-intercept is at 0. So therefore, this equation is y equals 4 over 3x plus 0, which we're not going to write. Okay, for G, this one also goes through the origin, hey? We notice that there, so I'll choose that point again, 0, 0, and then I'm going to take this one, -2, 1. Okay, 0, 0, and -2, 1. I think they might take off 1 mark here because it's not really the simplest form. Okay, so you can write that at first, then just add a last step where you write it like that, yeah. Okay, gradient, y value minus y value over x value minus x value. So 0 minus -2. Right, what's 0 minus 1? -1, hey? And 0 plus 2 is just 2. So this gives you -1 over 2. And your C value again is 0 because it goes through the origin. So this equation is y equals -1/2 x. Okay, H. The last one there. I'll take 0, 2, and then do you guys see? I'm just looking for a point where it's actually exactly on the corner of a block, all right? Instead of maybe taking that one, because I'm not sure what that is exactly on the x as the x value. Okay, so I'm going to take that one, all right? So what is that? That's 2, -3. Okay, so what did I say now? I'm taking 0, 2, and 2, -3. My gradient is y minus y, so 2 minus -3 over x minus x, 0 minus 2. Minus -3 becomes +3, so this is 2 plus 3, which is 5. 0 minus 2 is -2, so it's 5 over -2, right? Then we must just put that minus in front, like that. And if you look at the graph of h, where does it go through the y-axis? At 2. All right, so that is our c value. C is equal to 2. Therefore, y is equal to -5 over 2x plus 2. Okay. Now guys, for these questions, it will usually be 2 marks. So you'll get a mark for having the correct m value and a mark for having the correct c value. All right, so if you are struggling with finding m, just put something in front of your x and then just have the +2. Okay, the y-intercept is the easy one to find. That's the one where you just look on the graph, where does it go through the y-axis? Okay, so you can easily get 1 out of 2 for a question like this. Okay, now I want to remind you guys of what we did on, was it Wednesday? When we worked with gradient intercept method. Does that ring a bell? Right, gradient intercept method. Let me quickly see if I can find that note. Oh, my file is a bit of a mess. Gradient intercept method. Oh yeah, remember guys, we wrote down the steps that you follow. What's that first step? Do you have it in front of you? Find the y-intercept, all right? I found an old one. This isn't the one that we wrote down. Okay, so it's slightly different. The first one is find the y-intercept. Okay, not find one intercept, find the y-intercept. Then you're going to write the gradient as a fraction. Remember that? The number at the top tells you how you're going to count up or down. The number at the bottom tells you how you're going to count to the left or the right. So you put your pencil on your y-intercept and then you count from that point according to your gradient. All right, so that was step 3. Use the formula for gradient to count from the intercept, from the y-intercept. You plot a point where you stop counting and then you connect those points. Okay, what was the previous method that we did? We have actually practiced that before. Method 2 was gradient intercept method. What was method 1? Yes. Dual intercept method. Yes, good. Dual intercept method. All right, that was dual intercept method. Then you're going to find your y-intercept, which is the c value. Then you find your x-intercept by making y equal to 0. You plot your 2 intercepts and you connect the points. All right. Those are 2 methods for drawing a line. Guys, when do you have to use the second method? There are certain types of graphs where the first method won't work. Yes, Sipe? Yes, so when your intercept, your y-intercept is the origin. All right, good. So if you have an equation like this, y equals 4x. What is my c value there, guys? What is my constant term? 0. Okay, do we notice there's no c value? So the c value is 0. So here, c is 0. So our y-intercept is the point 0, 0. But then remember, that's actually an x-intercept as well. Right? That specific point is one point. It only happens at the origin, no other point, where it's the y-intercept and the x-intercept at the same time. So for this one, you have to use gradient intercept method. What is the gradient? What is the number in front of x? 4. So we're writing 4 as 4 over 1. What does that tell me? I'm going to have to move 4 units In what direction? Up, because it's positive 4, hey? 4 units up. And at the bottom, I'm going to have to move 1 unit to the left or right. What do you think if it's positive 1 to the right? I'm just doing this example as a quick refresher because it's been almost a week since we did these, and you're going to practice them now. Where's the ruler? Okay, so don't worry about copying this down. You have examples in your book. All right, so you would do your Cartesian plane. This is a very rough sketch. Okay, I'm not really drawing it according to any kind of scale. You have y, x, and 0. All right, so now in terms of how to draw this, you're going to do your 0, 0 at the origin. You're going to put your pen there, or your pencil, please. Remember, use a pencil rather. From there, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 units up. Obviously, lines or blocks or whatever. And then 1 to the right. There where you stop counting, you plot your second point. You connect them. And this one needs to be labeled. Now, guys, if I've moved 4 units up, what is my y value going to be? If I'm moving from 0 and I'm moving 4 units up, my y value has to be 4, hey? And what about my x value? If I'm moving from 0, because here on this line, remember x is 0. Now moving 1 to the right, what is my x value going to be? 1. So this point is 1, 4. The x value is 1 because we moved 1 to the right. And the y value is 4 because we moved 4 up. Now, guys, it will always be the case that, do we notice what we have here? 4 over 1. Your point is 1, 4. That will always happen, right? Because remember, how you're counting is taking your point from 0, 0. You're counting 1 to the right. That will get you your x value. All right, that's the number at the bottom. And you're moving 4 up, that will get you your y value. That's the number at the top. Okay, so this point that you get will always be denominator over numerator. Well, not denominator over, denominator. This one is the denominator of the gradient, your x value. And this one will always be the numerator of your gradient. Okay, if you want a way to remember that. So whatever the gradient is, right, it's 4, 1. So this is going to give you your x value, and that's going to give you your y value. And what was the formula for gradient again? Changing y over changing x. Okay, so the one at the top is your y value. The one at the bottom is your x value. Okay, that comes from the formula. But you can also just look, you can read it off. Okay, you don't have to remember this. That's just another way of doing it. You can do it like we did now. If you're counting from 0 and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4 up, your y value is 4. Going 1 to the right, your x value is 1. Okay, you can just read it off of your graph once you've got it. Okay, I'm going to give you some graphs to draw now on your own. It's like a worksheet, but I'm going to put it on the board. Out. Now this does say straight lines revision worksheet. You're not doing all of it. Okay, you're going to do 1, 2, and 3, but also not all of 1. Let me circle here which ones I want you to do. I want you to do 1A and C. What are they saying for number 1? Rewrite the following equations in standard form. What is standard form again, guys? There we go, good. Y equals mx plus c. So you need to get the y on its own, move everything else away. If there's something in front of that y, you divide each term by that number. Okay, we practiced some of those right at the beginning. So you're just going to do those first two while it's A and C. Okay, for number 1. They have an example here even, guys. Example, rewrite in standard form. If you can't remember how to do it, you can just look at that. Okay, that's what you need to do for number 1. For number 2, I want you to do all of number 2, please. There are lots of graphs there that you need to draw. Okay? You're going to draw all of them. Let's see, guys, which ones are you going to have to use gradient intercept form for? The second method. For G, not quite. We'll talk about G just now. G is a strange one, and H is also a strange one. I'm looking for one that just has an X, no C value. E, hey? Do you guys notice an E? There is no C value. So for E, you're going to have to do the counting thing. For all of the others, you can use dual intercept method, where you find your y-intercept, which is the C value, then you find your x-intercept. How do you find the x-intercept? You make y equal to 0. This should all be in your books. Okay, you're just going to have to page back a bit. We're kind of putting everything that we've learned so far together now. Okay. For what? For G and H, guys, do you remember the very first straight lines that we did? Right? Can you go back to the very first lines that we drew? It was horizontal and vertical lines. That was the heading. Or maybe it was vertical and horizontal. I can't remember what order we did them in. Vertical and horizontal lines. Guys, if you look at the lines that we drew there, if your equation is x equal to a number, it's a vertical line cutting through the x-axis at -3, right? And that's the only thing that you indicate. If it is y equals 4, it is a horizontal line cutting the y-axis at 4, and that's the only point that you indicate. Look back at the very first lines that we drew. Okay, vertical and horizontal lines, that was the heading. Okay, for this one, for the last one, can you draw this if it's written in this form? No, this one you first have to write in standard form. Okay, all the others are written in the correct form. You can draw them straight away. This one is not written in standard form. So for this one, you are first going to have to write it in standard form using that method there that they showed at the top. And then you can draw that line. Okay, that is what you're doing for today, guys. 1A and C, and then you're doing number 2. Yes. Sure. And here we go. 1A and C, and then you are doing number 2, please.